Welcome to my slideshow, Robbie's 90s Florida Real Estate, Fort Lauderdale. This slideshow represents a short story about a guy, me, Robert, who came to Florida at 30 years old with a very strong background on real estate investing, property ownership, management, buying and selling, construction, renovations, all that. So, when I came here, I had a good 12 years under my belt of basically doing the same thing in Florida that I did in Maryland, which is my hometown, Baltimore, Maryland. Although in Baltimore, Maryland, the properties I dealt in mostly were really downtown, inner city, low-income, slum type of properties. Although I was building new houses in the county, most of my rentals were all inner city slum properties. And back then we had no technology. We didn't even have cell phones. And I'm going back to the early 80s when I got started. So the story kicks off with I moved here in 1990 with really no money and no credit because my fortune in Baltimore had come to its demise. I was young. I spent lots of money. I lived like a billionaire, and technically I was a millionaire living like a billionaire. I traveled around. I had a codependency problem. I always had to have some beautiful girl on my shoulder, and they cost a lot of money. Neither here nor there, I did own enough property in Baltimore that I was able to live a life of independence. It wasn't a life of easy street. I was just financially independent. I had to manage my own properties, do all my own bank loans, negotiating, do all my own renovations and repairs, etc. So fast forward, I come to Florida in 1990. And what you're going to see in these slides that are flashing in the background are either documentation of properties I've owned, such as canceled checks for rentals I'm receiving, or canceled checks from a refi or from a sale. You'll probably see some pictures of different properties that are flashing in the background. They could be condos because I sure bought a lot of them. I specialized in condos in Florida because there were so many of these cheap condos west of I-95, where the original buyers were buying these small two-bedroom condos for $40,000 and $50,000 and $60,000. Some people paying $70,000 and $80,000, and I was buying them at foreclosure for $12,000 to $15,000. Then I was renting them for $700 to $900 a month, and by the time you added the condo fee with the taxes and the mortgage, I was really just breaking even on the units. I rarely ever made any real cash flow on the rental. Where I did make money was cashing in when I sold them, or as years went on and these units paid themselves off, then true riches fell into my lap, because there I had property that was paid for. This didn't happen in 5 or 10 years, but it was 15 and 20 years, and even 30 years down the road, that these properties amortized themselves down to zero, and I was still the owner, landlord, collecting rent. I hope you find the documentation helpful as far as telling the story. There's different letters there, all kind of stuff. I'm at 201-289-2500. If you want to talk real estate, just give me a call. I'm doing the same thing today in 2020 as I was doing back in the 90s when I first moved to Florida. Nothing's changed, except I'm just dealing in a different type of property. 201-289-2500.